What do you think of Anne Rice's new novel about Jesus?
I haven't read it. I think I'm unlikely to read it. But she's going to sell a lot of books without me. So
I don't know. Some of you may have seen the Colbert report about that. They said Anne Rice has gone from writing about guys who want to drink your blood to writing about a guy who wants you to drink his blood. Not mine. I wish I'd thought about that. How do you restart a conversation with someone who says, nothing you can say will change my mind?
Well, it's hard. I've been on AM radio enough to know that there are people who you can't talk to. I mean, it's really, there are doctrines that are hermetically sealed, where the person like me who's going to challenge the belief has been demonized in advance as a temptation. I mean, the moment you start to sound reasonable enough so as to shake someone's faith, you are suspected of being the Antichrist. I mean, they are prepared for a sufficiently alluring counterpoint to their dogma. So it's and in the Muslim world, this is also, I think it's a deeper problem actually, because the taboos around criticizing faith are literally enforced by capital punishment in so many Muslim countries. I mean, you take your life in your hands, making the noises I'm making in any Muslim community on this planet, and it's not just in the Middle East. And we're talking in a suburb of New York. It is not. This kind of conversation is not being had in the Muslim world, and it's we have to find some way to inspire it. But it's how we do that is a genuine problem.
Science, specifically quantum mechanics, has shown mathematically that we live in one of an infinite number of possible universes. Why is this acceptable while a belief in God is described by you as superstition?
That's an interesting question. I think it was Martin Rees, the Royal Astronomer of Britain, has said that inflationary physics, this idea that we could live in one of innumerable number universes, all functioning by different laws, suggests that there are probably infinite numbers, functionally infinite numbers of technologically advanced civilizations existing right now. And these technically advanced civilizations would have, almost by definition, invented computation and invented computers, and they'd be able to simulate universes on their computers. And it stands to reason there would be more of these simulated universes than actual universes. And therefore, on this reasoning, we should suspect to be in a simulation rather than in a real universe. Now, I guess the only thing I want to say about that, not being a physicist, is that physics appears to have achieved such a state of rarefication that it's almost impossible to know when a physicist is joking. So, nobody's going to be burnt at the stake or stoned to death or imprisoned for a difference of opinion on cosmology, and I think it's for physicists to decide what is a rational claim to knowledge in the discourse of physics.
If you ever believed in a God, what happened to make you begin to question that belief?
I didn't believe in that kind of God. We've all believed many things that now embarrass us in hindsight. But no, I never was quite that far afield.
Do you see any downside to excessive meditation, which could result in being disassociated or spaced out?
Yeah, I can exemplify that, being disassociated and spaced out right now. It's like anything else. We are imperfect people devoting ourselves to various pursuits, and every Buddhist community, every meditative discipline has its casualties and can select for people who are not all that good at gratifying their desires in the world. So you have a lot of, the people who go into a cave for a year, not all of them are the next Buddha. Some of them are very likely quite neurotic and not happy in their lives. So it's you just have to be, you have to separate the various variables, but it's quite possible to, I would imagine, meditate in a way that isn't good for you. Good for you based on who you happen to be, or good for you because you're either doing it wrong or the practice is not suited to you, in the way that it's possible to exercise in a way that's not good for you. There's nothing wrong with jogging, except if you have bad knees, except if you have a bad back, except. So there's almost certainly an analogous issue with meditation.
Do you think that fundamentalist Christians in the United States would really have any objection to fundamentalist Islamic theocracies if they didn't support terrorism?
Oh, yeah, they would have an objection. It's just it wouldn't be so troublesome. It's the wrong religion. From the point of view of Christianity, all those people are going to hell, and the Muslims have returned the favor. All the Christians are going to hell. So.
This is pretty broad, but I'll read it out. Do you think that modern secularism is an evolutionary transition to another state of consciousness, or is it the end of evolution?
I'm actually not a fan, and I've received some heat for this, I'm not a fan of words like secularism and atheism. I don't think we have to name the counterpoint to religious irrationality. We don't have words to describe not being an astrologer or not being an alchemist. I mean, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm not an astrologer, I'm not an astrologer. And to some degree, I think the same will work for not being duped by the false certainties of religion. We simply need to apply reason. We can talk about being rational. Ultimately, I don't think we have to talk about being secular.
So, Sam, why do you uppercase G in God in your book? I know the answer to that.
Well, it's the, I guess I could plead that the copy editor did it, but it's the God most people believe in. I mean, most of the readers are not believing in one God amid many other gods they think exist. There's the one God, the biblical God, which is the Quranic God.
I think we'll close with this question. Seems to me very important. What practical steps can we take as individuals in our individual lives to bring about the conversational intolerance you advocate?
Well, it's interesting because I'm not actually recommending that we just oppose every claim to religious conviction wherever we find it. I'm not recommending that, in a closed elevator, you hear someone talk about Jesus and you unleash on them. It's really just in situations like this. As a start, I think, when you're at the podium or when you're writing an editorial or an opinion piece for the newspaper, or you're in a situation where you are advancing the conversation about ideas, it seems to me that we all have a moral responsibility to be deeply honest about these things. And so I'm not advocating that we all rush back and destroy every Thanksgiving dinner over these issues. But and then who knows where it would go from there? I mean, there's room certainly for being civil and just turning the other cheek.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Sam Harris is currently completing a doctorate in neuroscience to research the neural foundation for belief. The End of Faith is his first book. Visit www.norton.com for more information.